Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here with you today on Thursday of the week before Easter. Now, in some places, today is called Maundy Thursday. In other places, it's called Holy Thursday. But this is the day during the last week of Jesus' life here on earth where he and his disciples gathered to celebrate the Passover. Now, this is the night before the going to the garden and the arrest, and then the trial, and then the crucifixion. So, before I go too far today, let's back up a little bit and say something about Passover. As you may or may not know, Passover is tied to the exodus of the Jewish people from the land of Egypt. Pharaoh, after a lot of things, finally let the Hebrews leave. And the night before they left, the last of the plagues, the angel of death, came on the land. And as a symbol for the angel of death to pass over the houses of the Hebrews, they put blood of an innocent lamb on the two side post and the lintel. Hence the term Passover. The angel of death would pass over the Hebrews. Well, it worked, and Pharaoh let them leave, and after a whole bunch of other things, they finally get to the promised land. But that's a whole other story. And as a commemoration of that night, Jewish law compelled all Hebrews to celebrate Passover once a year. Now, by the time Jesus gets to this event here, it's a pretty ritualized thing. It has certain prayers, certain talkings, certain food, all of this stuff going into remembering the time that God's angel passed over the people of Hebrews and did not bring death upon them. So Jesus comes to this night and he tells his disciples, let's go do the Passover. And he says here, I've been looking forward to this. He says it again in verse 15. I have been very eager to eat this Passover meal with you before my suffering begins. Now, every Hebrew male was required to go to Jerusalem and share in the Passover. You couldn't get out of it. And it was important in the life of the Jews to see how their sin could be forgiven so they could live. Now, the Day of Atonement comes at Yom Kippur, which would be about sometime in our early October of our calendar. But this was essential. And during this night, during this time of the night, is when Jesus instituted what we as Christians call communion. In the Passover celebration, there were 4 cups that were shared ceremoniously. The third cup was called the cup of redemption. And it was this cup that Jesus picked up and said, this is my blood shed for you. It's hard to understand how the disciples felt. Today, many churches celebrate communion, some every Sunday, some once a year. And for a lot of people, communion is just a ritual, just something I do. It's maybe a little bit more than putting my socks on, but doesn't really shake me up that much. But there's nothing intrinsic to the ceremony itself, at least I don't think so. Now, if you're a Catholic or from a liturgical church, you probably think differently, and that's okay. But from my point of view, there's nothing in the bread and the juice or the wine that is inherently changing of us. It's our mind and our attitude and our will as we participate in this that makes the difference. Tonight, our church will celebrate communion and we'll celebrate feet washing, which was also something Jesus did. I don't know if yours will or not. But the idea is that this cup is shed for you. This bread is my body broken for you. Everything that happened this night was oriented towards you and me. We are the recipients of the ceremony. And Jesus is the celebrant of the ceremony. Now, that may sound a little strange to you, particularly if you don't go to church. But what it says is this is a special moment where God is demonstrating, in a way we can't understand, how much He loves and cares for us. Even if you don't believe that, even if you're one of these who is mad at God, He's still celebrating you and making a way for you to live forever. On this night, Jesus broke bread, as it said, and He shared the cup, and He shed it for you and for me, not for Him. God didn't do this for Him. He did it for you and for me. And on this night, if you're listening in the morning, on this night, wherever you are, if you go to church service, okay. If you go to work, okay. If you go to the restaurant, okay. If you don't do anything but watch an old movie or a new movie or a TV show, okay. But remember, on this night, Jesus used the bread and the wine of Passover to say that now the angel of death will pass over you. Now, don't misunderstand. He's not talking about in this life, but he's talking about life after this. That's how much God cares for you. And I hope you understand that. I hope you think about it. And I hope you'll listen tomorrow for the last session on this day, on this week of the week before Easter. Thanks for listening. If you have a need or you have a concern, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks so much for listening. God bless you. I'll be back tomorrow.